hey, I love that you listen to this podcast. And what I love more is that every show that I've been doing, more and more TILLN fans have been coming and saying that they drove for hours to be at this show. And so if that's you want to come see me do some stand-up, you got plenty of opportunities. March 22nd. I'll be filming my comedy special in Nashville. That's a really big thing. If you can make it to those shows, I would love to see you there. And then I'll be doing new material. February 12th, I'll be in Houston, Texas. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, I'll be in Plano, which is near Dallas. February 20th, I'll be in Kingsport, Tennessee, which is in Tennessee. And then February 21st, I'll be in Fredericksburg, Virginia. February 22nd, I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Comedy Zone there. February 27th, I'll be in Milton, West Virginia. That's right. We're going everywhere, baby. February 28th, I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. And March 8th, I'll be in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have plenty of dates. You can always check out. If you're listening to this in the future, you're like, oh, dang, it's November right now, and I missed all of those shows. You can always find my shows at jaronmyers.com/shows. So I really want to see you there. Would love to hang out. Thanks for coming. For real, thanks for listening to this podcast, and thanks for coming to my shows because this is my dream, and it's still alive.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you heard of...
Sorry. Let me get set.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, that angle's making your biceps look good.
Theme song. I don't even know what that means. I wasn't going for that. I was just going for...
I was going for good posture.
I was just going for sitting here. Okay.
Good posture.
I was trying to become a professional thumb wrestler for a while, and then I had an existential crisis about how we just live in the thin disc. John Cena told me to burn down Zany's Nashville.
He's retired. He needs a hobby.
My sleep paralysis demon is John Cena. Things I learned last night. That angle's making your biceps look good. Okay, what's up?
You know that moment?
I hope that this isn't someone's first time. If you're a first time guest, we just ask you to fill out the card on the seat in front of you.
And ignore whatever he just said.
Ignore whatever he just said.
His views do not reflect the views of our podcast.
Okay, what's the topic?
3-Eye Atlas. Have you ever heard of 3-Eye Atlas?
Oh, no. But I feel like this is not a good thing.
No.
I feel like this is a conspiracy theory, and we just opened with your biceps looking really good. You know? Like, that can't be a strong start.
Every time without fail.
Three-eyed Atlas?
3-Eye.
3-Eye.
The letter I.
Oh.
Atlas.
3-Eye Atlas.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is this a band?
Ooh.
Good name.
Good band name, actually. Good band name.
Which band was it? 3 Doors Down that had the Citizen Soldier.
Was that 3 Doors Down?
Is that 3 Doors Down?
That might be.
You know what I'm talking about? It was like in the Army Go Army commercial or whatever. Citizen Soldiers. Is that 3 Doors Down?
Yeah, I don't.
Yes.
Is it?
Nice.
Interesting. Okay, whatever.
And then Third Eye Blind is a band, right?
Third Eye Blind was ahead of their time. Holy cow.
Their biceps were
Their
so
biceps
good.
were objectively so good.
So, you know who's got great biceps? Tim Lambesis. I don't know if you know about his steroids usage.
His biceps are huge.
His biceps are huge because he used steroids. And then there's some other things he did because of his steroids. I don't know if you know.
He actually, ironically, it's ironic you say that at the time of recording this, the day before he put out a big statement about, basically he was like, can we just let it go? I tried to kill my wife. Whatever. I served time for it. I went to prison. I did the whole thing. Can we just let it go and just listen?
He did that yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. It was a big...
Oh, that's crazy.
And he didn't straight say, I tried to kill my wife.
Because we talked about him before this.
Yeah, but like he literally yesterday, and he didn't say, I tried to kill my wife, but if you don't know the story, he tried to put a hit on his wife, and he served like 10 years in prison for it.
He did go to jail.
And now he's trying to do his band again. And a lot of people are like, you shouldn't listen to that guy because he tried to kill his wife. Yesterday he's like, can we just let it go? It's in the past.
The band was really good.
The band was objectively very good, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I've forgiven people for worse.
Anyways,
I vote for him. without electing a pastor. So he tried to kill his wife. Who cares?
Who cares? It was like 10 years ago.
It was like 10 years ago.
He went to prison. He did his time.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, so do you remember this guy?
Should I remember this guy?
Yeah.
This is 3-Eye Atlas.
This isn't 3-Eye
I know
Atlas.
it's not, but I'm trying to figure out why I know this guy.
This is Avi Loeb. Does that name ring any bells?
No way that's his name.
Yeah, his
dude.
name is Avi Loeb.
Avi Loeb.
AVILOEB.
For those listening, he looks like a college professor at a community college.
Wow.
Like a well put together guy. And this is his LinkedIn photo. He's got the white background. This is a professional headshot.
So this is his headshot on Harvard's website.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Avi Loeb. Good for you, dude. Doctor?
Yeah, Dr. Avi Loeb.
Dr. Loeb.
He's a Harvard astronomer.
I didn't mean to do that to you. I mean, well, I nailed it though. You're a college professor.
Yeah, but not at a community college. A little bit more prestigious than a community college.
Okay, sorry. He looks like a professor at a school that you have to make amount of money to pay for you to go to, and actually, there's no way that you can get into it. And that's how the rich hoard their wealth: is that they hoard the opportunities for you to break into that level of wealth. Is that better? Is that what you refer to?
Yeah, that is actually exactly what I was looking for. Yeah.
So he does look like a professional headshot. It looks like
He was very professional.
you know that's what I mean. Like this is Harvard paid for this. This is Harvard money headshots.
Yeah, this is Harvard. That is some Harvard money headshot right
That's
there.
some Harvard money headshots right there.
Yeah, so Avi Loeb, you might remember him. We did an episode about him a couple years ago. Oumuamua. He's the guy who found Oumuamua. You remember that?
Found Oumuamua. What?
Do you remember?
For some reason, I think Oumuamua. Did we do it at the same time as the Castle Bravo episode?
I think it would have been about
Because
the same.
Those
No,
feel
I think
like
Castle Bravo might have been earlier than Oumuamua.
because
I
Oumuamua
don't
just
know.
I think nukes, but that's Castle Bravo.
Yeah, Castle Bravo's nukes.
Oumuamua is
Alex, do you remember Oumuamua?
is a asteroid.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, he's an
Oumuamua-
astronomer. That makes sense. I could have worked backwards from there. Duh.
Yeah. Oumuamua was an interstellar object.
Was.
I mean, I guess technically still is. But it's the first time we've ever seen something from outside of our solar system into our solar system was Oumuamua. And it was a big asteroid, and everybody saw it, and they were like, it's got to be aliens if it's not from here.
Oh, that's right.
Avi was one of the people saying that. Don't look at me like that. Avi was going on TV talking about how that was an alien spaceship. Surprise!
Is 3-Eye Atlas? Yeah, I'm saying it out loud now. All right, let's get into it.
So Avi with Oumuamua, he was like, "Oh, it's aliens."
This is I thought it was just a conspiracy, but this is an alien thing.
Avi Loeb was
Perfect. Usually, he's pretty good at like hiding it if it's not. He can't.
No, this is this is something.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Normal. This is a normal thing. No, Avi was a big proponent of this could be aliens, right? And so he was going on TV talking about how it might be aliens, and then that sparked a lot of controversy.
And what year was that again?
It was first round in 2017. We did our episode, I think, 2021.
Sure,
because we were watching it for a long time, and eventually, like, it came through and it left, and that was kind of the end of that. And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it's a rock. Actually, that was just a really big rock.
It's just a big rock.
That was just a big rock kind of tumbling through the sky.
Sure.
Well, space.
That's what they want you to think.
And yeah, so Oumuamua left. A couple years later, after that, we discovered 2-Eye Borisov, which was
he was the president of Russia before Putin. Old 2-Eye.
There's not a unique identifier.
Borisov.
You guys keep calling me 2-Eye like it's weird that I got 2 eyes. It's a super normal thing to have 2 eyes, guys.
Oh, I have 2 eyes.
I got 2 eyes. What are you talking about? I don't know why you call me 2 eyes.
Okay. I have 2 eyes.
Everyone's like, yeah, we should call him 2-Eye because of his 2 eyes thing.
I've got 2 eyes.
His whole 2 eyes thing.
Yeah, this guy.
Look at this guy with his 2 eyes.
This bit went on for 7 minutes. Guys, I want to know, we edited this down. We just edited this down. For 7 minutes, Tim just ran and being like, he's got 2 eyes.
He's got 2 eyes. How weird
He's got 2 eyes. For 7 minutes, he just said that over and over. So, We call him 7-Minute Tim.
YouTube has this feature where it suggests things. It's called inspiration. It's called inspiration, and it tries to like give things based on the type of content you put out that does well.
Oh yeah.
It tries to suggest new things for you to cover.
Sure.
And it had one yesterday that I took offense to. It said
YouTube thinks that we could get more views if
we get a shock collar for me to make me laugh less.
You sent this to me.
Yeah.
What did it say? It gave like an AI art.
Yeah, it had an AI.
And it gave a title: "Shock Collar Shenanigans. Is this the secret to curing Tim's laughter?"
What?
And it gave a little AI image. It made Tim super fat. It made Tim so fat in this.
Yeah, it was weird.
We should get a shock collar.
That would be a funny episode. If we just had a shock collar for each other.
I'm not doing it. I don't have to. I bring the value I bring to this podcast is different than the value you bring to this podcast.
That's why we pay you $50
million. The value I bring, and then the value you bring is you have to wear a shock collar.
Your bit is shock collar Tim. Your bit is funny. Your bit is your funny. My bit is.
I agree.
Okay, stop looking at the clock.
14 minutes. He just went. 2 eyes.
He's got 2 eyes. It's crazy. So they saw two-eyed Borisov. The I stands for interstellar.
Okay.
So Oumuamua is officially now one-eye Oumuamua. Two-eye Borisov.
Oh, now we're looking at 3-eye Atlas.
Yeah. Oumuamua got the name. It was discovered at a lab in Hawaii, or I guess an observatory in Hawaii. And then Borisov is the name of the Russian astronomer.
I call it.
Yeah. The Russian
Atlas is Greece or what?
Atlas is an interesting thing. Atlas is let me see if I can get this abbreviation correct. Atlas is the name of an organization.
Oh.
And it is
which is cool.
Atlas, the organization, it's an abbreviation? No.
Acronym.
Thank you. It's an asteroid. It's the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. And so they're looking for asteroids that are going to hit Earth is what they do. And they've got observatories all over the globe. And their literal job is to just watch the sky and be like, that looks like it could hit us. And then they do the math and like, don't worry, it's not going to hit us. And then if there's anything that looks like it's going to hit us, then they do Independence Day.
Okay.
And they go blow it up. They haven't had to do that yet. But
do they have the technology to do that?
Yeah, we can watch anything in the sky.
Oh yeah, we can watch it and calculate it if it's going to hit you. I'm saying, do we have the technology to go blow something up?
Oh yeah. We can shoot a rocket up, put a nuke on that rocket, aim it towards the thing, just hit it.
Feels pretty risky to do.
Oh, it's very risky. I don't think that's what we would actually do.
Okay.
I think most likely we would not actually do that. But that is kind of like the mental map that started Atlas was like.
What if nuke, rocket.
Rock. Yeah.
And someone was like, that's a great idea.
Oh, we should do that.
Send it.
Yeah, no, it's this organization that's like, we should know if an asteroid's going to impact us.
That's fair.
And if it's going to impact it, then we hand it over to the governments of the world to figure out how to deal with the problem. Yeah. We're just going to be like, hey, there's a problem.
That's my favorite role to be in, by the way.
I'm not going to be a part of figuring this out.
Problem pointer? Very good at. Problem solver? Not so much.
I'm not good at solving it, but I can tell you about it.
That's why I'd rather be a podcaster than a politician. That way I can just point at problems.
See. So, so 3-eye Atlas is the third interstellar object that we've detected.
Okay.
Named after the organization that found it. It was found on July 1st, 2025.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's very new.
Yeah.
Very new. What's interesting about this?
Because today is January 27th.
2026, yeah. Yeah, it's a new year.
Yes, I understand how time works.
We're not predicting the future. I just need people to know that we record these episodes in advance. And I just need people to know that we're not recording this before 3-eye Atlas was discovered.
Well, today's January 27th, 2025. This releases 2026. The Queen is still alive.
And hail the Queen.
So we did the unfortunate episode where we recorded.
He predicted the Queen's death.
We didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
So this is this is 2026. This is now 6 months ago.
Yes.
That they found this thing. 7 months
they
ago.
discovered it, and it was coming in quick. It was actually, and here's the deal. This made the news almost instantly. Once it I shouldn't say almost instantly. They saw it. They did some calculations. They put out some research papers. They went to a conference. They talked about it at the conference. And then at the conference, they unveiled all their findings. All the astronomers at the conference were like, this is pretty crazy. And so then they started talking about it. Then it hit the news. And then it was like,
of course,
very viral in the news. So it was kind of slow roll. But when it hit the news, the way the news was talking about this, they're like, this is the fastest terrestrial object we've ever seen. Problem is, it's the third object we've ever seen.
Right.
Like it's like okay, so you're faster than the other two, which I mean is still a big deal, but it's like it's not.
But how much faster? Do we know?
I could probably look up really quick.
Because like if this is like 4 times faster, that's different. If it's like 400 times faster, that's obviously a different velocity.
Yeah. So let's see here. Oumuamua speed, 3i Atlas speed. So 3i Atlas. Or here, I'll give you Oumuamua first. Oumuamua was the top speed that we tracked it at through the whole life cycle we were following it. Was 196,000 miles an hour relative to the sun. Very fast.
Slow.
3i Atlas was, I'm seeing a lot of different numbers here. Let me see which the biggest one is. 246,000.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So not
faster.
That much faster.
I mean,
196, 240.
Yeah. So
I was thinking if you were going to be like
50,
a million miles per hour, like that's
I mean, I mean, if that's what you're expecting, then not.
That's
much.
what I'm saying. So it's
50,000 miles an hour faster.
Of course,
it's faster. It's a lot faster.
It's pretty faster. Yeah,
is pretty faster. So it's moving very fast.
Yes,
and so this got a lot of interest. And the more we started studying this, the more we started to realize, like, this is a very, it's doing a lot of really weird things. Here's a picture I have of it. This is...
You're intentionally touching me at this point. Stop. You're doing the thing under the table where your foot's like it was a mistake the first time. And then now you're doing it on purpose. And I'm going to make a big deal of it on the show. Okay, this is the picture we have of it. Come on, dude.
This was the first discovery of it.
Yeah. For those listening, it's this is crazy that someone's job is to look at this. You know what I'm saying? This looks like the picture that you get on your phone before it loads. Like it's all pixelated and there's like two white kind of orbs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not a picture of a thing. It's just a, you know.
This is like that picture where it's like in the video and then it zooms out and it zooms out slowly. It's like a bunch of other pictures. Then eventually it's Jesus. That's what this looks like.
Oh, sure.
Here's another picture of it moving through the sky.
Yeah, I'm glad they pointed to it. That makes sense.
I'm glad we can see which one it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more concerned about that red arrow in space.
That's crazy. That thing's just following it around. So this thing is moving through space, and it's very strange, the speed that it's moving. What's more strange about it, though, is its trajectory. And I shouldn't say strange. Well, it is strange. The trajectory is strange, but the trajectory is also very exciting because it's going to come very, very close. And so they do some calculations. This is the solar system.
It could destroy Pluto, huh?
I mean, it could destroy everything.
Which one is us? Are we blue?
Yeah, we're the green one.
We're the green one.
Yeah.
Oh, it could hit Mars.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about this is it's coming very close to Earth.
There's a key up top. I'm kind of dumb. My bad. Don't worry about me. I'm kind of dumb.
What's really interesting is this is going to come into a cycle dead through our solar system, essentially.
Yeah.
And almost as close to the sun as Earth, which is pretty phenomenal. What is so interesting about this and what got people so excited about this is we have a ton of imaging devices along this path. And so we were like, we're going to get a lot of great footage
shots
of these things.
This.
Because, yes, Oumuamua and Borisov came through our solar system, but they did not come anywhere near this close. So we couldn't get as much good data for it because we were taking images that were much further away. Yeah. And
this is their calculation that it's not going to hit Mars?
Yeah, it's going to thread
it's going to hit the... Wow.
Yeah. And so this was a very exciting find. We're like, oh, we're going to get some good science out of this.
We're going to get some good science.
We're going to get some really good science from this.
Okay.
What else is really interesting about this, though, about the trajectory that was very interesting is space, as you know, it's not a flat plane. It's a 3D. Right. And
place.
So what you normally see, here's what's tough. We gotta lay this out real quick. What's really tough with this is you hear a lot of people talk about this and they say what we normally see in situations like this. But we have 2 other examples of interterrestrial objects.
Right.
So like we don't have a lot of
We don't have a normal.
We have the last 2. But we also we have from those last 2 we were able to extrapolate a lot of data from it. And we were also able to just kind of logically think about okay, what's the most likely scenario here and do the math. And so what you would expect is because it's this 3D plane, these interterrestrial objects, they're probably not always traveling on the same plane as our solar system. They could come in at any direction.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw with Oumuamua and Borisov. They came in at weird angles. Hey, thanks for watching our show. If you like it, a great way to help out is by being a Patreon supporter. Doing that helps make this show possible, but it also gets a lot of perks for you. You can get every episode a week early ad-free. You get access to a Discord where you can meet a lot of other people who love the show and actually hang out with Jaron and I every month on a hangout. And we're also in that Discord chat all the time, talking with people, talking about episodes and just random stuff in life. It's super fun. There's a way to get birthday messages, a free gift, merch discounts in there. So there's a lot of really great reasons to be a Patreon supporter. You get a lot of benefits out of it. And it also makes the show keep happening. So if that sounds great to you, you can go to support.tilln.com or tilln.com/support, or just tilln.com and search around until you find the links and become a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate you doing that. But if not, right back to the episode, right? What's really interesting about 3i Atlas is it's coming in almost exactly at the same angle as our
on the
solar
same
system.
plane.
Yeah, on the same plane as our solar system.
Are all of our solar system planets on the plane?
Yeah, so what's really interesting,
I didn't know that, I don't think.
Yeah, they call it the solar system disk, the thin disk of our solar system. And you actually have this for solar systems and for galaxies. There's the thin disk, where the majority of the celestial objects rotate in that thin disk, and they stay pretty close within a few degrees of that plane. There's a little slight wobble. Then you have what's called the thick disk, where there's kind of those weird objects that kind of orbit out in weird orbits and they kind of move out in weird directions. But for the most part, you see things fall into that thin disk. And this is true of any object. And so it's really surprising that this
thing is on our plane.
On our in the same plane as the thin disk of every other object.
That seems like a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, coincidence or it's got to be aliens.
Could be a coincidence. Could be intent.
Yeah.
What else is really interesting about this is this is unusually rich in carbon dioxide. And
why do we know that?
So you can tell any celestial.
You can just tell by looking at it.
Tell. Well, you ask it. You see it on and you say,
"Oh, you're full of carby docs, aren't you?" I can tell you're full of carby docs.
I can tell. No, so the original theory is this is a comet, and based on the path of it, and then we could kind of see this is not a rock. This is more icy, more made up of a liquid. But when we look at things through a telescope, the light that's emitted from it, that light, depending on the makeup of that celestial object, different. What's the word I'm looking for?
Materials reflect different light patterns.
Yes, yeah. And so there's different colors that you would or wouldn't see based on what it's made out of. So that's how we know.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's how we know distant planets and distant stars, what their chemical makeup is and what type of things. So if you ever hear water
that's
is
crazy
found,
that we've learned this stuff in the last couple hundred years.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's hard work because you have to stare at that thing for hours.
I have worked really hard to do this.
But
this is why I know that the world's not made up in my head. You know what I'm saying?
Because I hear stuff that I'm I couldn't think of that.
That's what I'm saying, dude. When people are no, dude, the whole thing, what if we're all just in, what if all of this is just in your imagination? I would not have thought that up. I'll tell you that. I can tell you I would not have thought it up.
I could not have thought of that.
No.
My brain's not that smart. There's no way I thought of that. So it's like ridiculously rich in carbon dioxide, which is not what we expect of an object like that. So it's very strange.
Yeah. You know what else is rich in carbidox?
What?
Aliens. Do people think this is aliens? We'll get there.
Another thing that's interesting.
Do you know anyone who thinks this is aliens?
Yeah. So this actually, it's ironic. I just talked about the thick and thin discs because because this the trajectory, they think that this came from the Milky Way's thick disk. And what's interesting is
yeah, dude.
What's interesting about thick and thin discs is the thick disk is usually the older part of a celestial system.
Okay.
Because what happens is
it's expanding out.
Yeah, but it's also like the longer something is in orbit, there's more potential for a handful of things to happen. One, they could collide with other things and explode. They get sucked into the center thing and explode. Or they get off the orbit.
Is that what happened to us? We just get sucked into the sun?
Yeah, we're falling into the sun. That's what our orbit. That's what orbit is. We're falling into the sun, but we're at the perfect distance where we never actually make it in. We're just falling and like.
I know what orbit is. I'm not stupid, Tim.
Yeah, so we're falling into.
We're
the
not
sun.
getting closer to the sun, are we?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we're not. We're not falling into the sun.
Well, we are falling into the sun.
No,
we're never going to fall. We're never going to fall into it, but we're falling into it.
Okay, so we're never going to fall into the sun. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think potentially you could. Something would have to change. We would have to get off of like our current like path where we would make a collision.
Something bigger would have to hit us and move us off.
Yeah, we would have to get knocked off our orbit. Yeah, for sure. But that's not impossible.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the same page. Chill out.
Anyways, so the other thing
I think I just tried to have a conversation that was up here. And I just realized that intellectually you're down
here. You're too dumb.
And I need to talk to you like, dude, okay. Sorry. I won't ask you any more questions. Dumb.
So the thick disk. So the thick disk is older because the other thing that can happen is you get thrown off your orbit and you shoot out. But you don't shoot out far enough to like you get sucked back into the orbit. And so the thick disk,
we really are perfect conditions with the axis tilt and how far away we are. Like if we were the distance that Mars is, our climate we wouldn't be able to live.
Yeah, we wouldn't. Yeah, true. But that doesn't mean nothing could.
True.
We couldn't.
But I'm saying that's crazy, right?
It is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
I don't know. I think about all this sometimes and I just go, am I really mad this person's cut me off? You know, like we're on a floating ball getting sucked into the sun.
We're on the thin disk. We're on the sun's thin disk.
Hey, you and I are both on the thin disk right now.
Sir,
chill out.
You're on thin disk right now.
That's.
And so all that to say, because it's coming from the thick disk,
right?
There's the area that it's coming from. Scientists at NASA think that this is probably coming from a side of the galaxy that's 7 billion years old. And so this is an unbelievable...
Which scientists? Ken Ham?
Ken Ham
said that?
Ken Ham is like, the Earth is 6,000 years old. But
that's 7 billion years old.
This is 7 billion. No, 7. So this thing is super old.
Yeah.
And coming from a part of the universe that heavily predates the Earth. And so... what else is very interesting is it has this seemingly unnatural metal composition. And so it is really rich in nickel and very low in iron, which is not a very commonly occurring event naturally. It's what we see more.
I'm pretty low on iron as well.
We see things like this in alloys that are industrially produced. And so that's odd. This seems artificial, is what we're saying here.
Interesting.
Yeah. The other thing that's very interesting, are you familiar with the wow signal?
That one?
The wow signal. No, in...
Wow. This is the YouTube thumb. You know I can't do my pinky and... Can you touch your pinky and thumbs? Yeah, I can't do that.
Really?
Yeah, my hands are too strong. Oh my gosh, this freaking beefy muscle right in here. I can't even get the things together. I can touch them, but I got hand muscles for days.
So the wow signal.
I was trying to become a professional thumb wrestler for a while, and then I had an existential crisis about how we just live on the thin disc. I don't know, dude. I thought something mattered for a second, but then I just remembered that we live on a thin disc.
We just live on the thin disc, so none of this matters. None of this matters.
None of this is matters.
None of this matters.
Let's not even finish the episode.
Okay. No, so we got to talk
dread. I just feel dread right now.
We got to talk about the wow signal.
Okay, what is the wow signal?
So the wow signal in 1977. Have you heard of SETI?
Yeah.
I'm going to take that as a no.
I said yeah.
SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It is a organization that is looking for some signs of alien life outside of this solar system. And or I should say outside of Earth, not necessarily outside of the solar system. But one of the tools that they had at their disposal was what was called the Big Ear radio array. And it was this big ear that they put on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
This is just a radio array to get radio signals from space.
Yeah, it looks like a giant football field covered in white, like antenna stuff. Yeah.
And
it's huge though, because there's that building back there for scale.
Yeah. And
that literally might be the size of a football field.
That's actually a shopping mall, that movie, or that building.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No, but I'm saying that's probably bigger than a football field.
Yeah, it's a huge radio array.
Yeah.
I mean, it's designed to capture radio signals from deep space. The Big Ear, it's in Georgia. Delaware, Ohio.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I know that sounds like I was saying the state Delaware.
Yeah, I know.
It's a town in Ohio called Delaware.
Okay. It's in Ohio.
Yeah. So there was somebody using this Big Ear radio array, and what they do is they'd listen to radio signals that come in through the radio array.
Okay.
And there was a signal that lasted 72 seconds, and based on that frequency, they were able to listen to the frequency and then they attribute symbols to it. And the wow signal was a signal here. You see it circled that, and I haven't researched this, so I'm foggy on the details of why. But for some reason, something about this did not seem natural. It did not look like natural radio signal.
Oh, so someone circled it. This is all numbers on a chart. Like basically, like if the thing is just putting out numbers, there's this sequence that doesn't look like the rest of the paper.
Yeah,
and then so someone circled it and the 7 across there, and then they wrote "wow" with exclamation point. So that's why that's called the wow signal, is that someone wrote "wow" next to it.
The person listening to it said "wow" because it seems artificial. Wow. Yeah, they were listening to it. They're like, this is not a naturally occurring.
Because the rest is all numbers, like 1s, 2s, and 3s, literally just scattered across the paper. Every once in a while, there's a 6. But this has 6, E, Q, U, J, 5. Like signals that are letters and numbers that are not listed anywhere else on this paper.
Yeah, and they're very like in short succession. And so the idea here...
What does that sound like? Do we know?
Whoa.
No.
You want to hear it? I don't have my ear thing plugged in.
I do want to hear it.
Okay. This is I haven't listened to this, so I'm not sure what we're about to hear, but this is the actual recording from that night, because they record
from
everything.
The Big Ear.
Yeah, they record everything that the Big Ear captures. So this is the actual recording of the wow signal as he heard it and recorded the wow on it right there.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then it stops. Seems very artificial.
I really didn't want to crack. Dang it. That's so funny.
Okay.
Do you have the actual one? That's really funny.
All right.
That's funny.
Here's the actual recording from that night.
Seems artificial. We know when the sequence.
It's now.
I guess I don't understand what would equal each number. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like wavelength.
Okay.
I think they've attributed it to wavelength, and I think because like
So like,
I mean,
all that stuff we just heard, that's the sound.
That is-
What does it usually sound like when there's not something happening? Do you know what I'm talking about?
let's
Like, is there a longer recording of like just this all that dead space where it's just ones?
yeah, hold on. I gotta remove John Cena theme from my search. All right, so this is and again, I haven't listened to this, so hopefully this is what it actually sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a low radio background hum of space that you constantly hear. Occasionally, you will hear radio signals that come from distant stars, like they will put out a radio signal, but it's not like unnatural. It is there's some solar flare or something that put out a large amount of energy, and that's put out a radio signal. But it's not
That registers. Yeah.
yeah. But this seemed very unnatural, the wow signal. And it's been a big deal for a long time. And it's been something that there has never been a good explanation for the wow signal of where it came from.
Okay.
Most scientists, most astronomers think there's probably a natural explanation for it. They just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of like extraterrestrial fanatics who say this is proof of alien life.
Proof of aliens.
That they were sending us a message.
And the message is, yeah. So I think that that's pretty clear to me.
That's pretty obvious to me. Well, what's interesting about 3i Atlas is it comes from the same spot in the Milky Way galaxy that the wow signal originated from. And so it is it's a strange coincidence that it's coming from the same place where
it's coming from.
Yeah. What is arguably
the same direction or the same, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
it originated from the same spot in the Milky Way galaxy.
We don't know that.
Yes, we do.
Why do we know that?
We know where that radio signal came from because we can track those waves backwards.
Oh, okay.
And then the same way with 3i Atlas, we can look at its trajectory and track it backwards. And that original conference where the astronomer who found it did his presentation with his academic paper. This is a peer-reviewed academic paper.
This 3i Atlas, did he link this thing to that?
He didn't make the link. Other people made the link. But in his math, he did all the work to track that trajectory back. And in that tracking, he actually even accounted for this is when it went through another solar system that would throw the gravitational pull would throw off its trajectory a little bit here. And so it was like really detailed work to go back, and it tracked it.
So
he
do
tracked
we
it
think
back.
that something might have happened? Something broke and exploded, leading that
send this thing
projectile
here?
toward us, and that sound of whatever that was could have been the wow signal.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that. Potentially, I think, because yeah, that's interesting.
And like that sound happened 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that sound
have we
reached
heard it
us 50
since?
years. No, that happened that one moment. It's never happened again.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that, because what would it? They tracked this back to this location, and that was a 10 million year path. And so this theoretically, I guess, and I'm just thinking off the dome right now, but theoretically, if the sound wave reached us, and then 3i Atlas is the shrapnel then afterwards reaching us, that could make sense. Maybe. I don't know if that
I don't know if the math checks out.
I don't know if that math would work, but
if it does, if I'm right, I would love to make money off that somehow. Please. I'd like to monetize how smart I was. I would love to be paid for that. If anyone's listening,
I don't know if that math would work. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how fast. If this was
that's
like,
what sucks for artists these days, man. Space artists put out this sound. It gets played once in the 70s. It gets ripped on LimeWire. Artist isn't even making the money from that.
He's not even getting paid. And so this object is on that same trajectory, which is very odd. What else is very odd? And here's where we start to get into some strange realms.
Are they saying this object is 10 million years old?
Oh, they're saying this object is probably way older than 10 million years.
Okay.
But that's what they traced it back to.
Okay.
And so it could potentially have come from somewhere way further away than where the WOW signal was.
Yeah.
But that's just the point where they traced it back to, because I'm assuming the math started to get shady. Like it started to get hard to be accurate at that point. And so this is like the last point where we can be confident
Got it.
that this is where it was coming from. And so it could potentially have started there. It could potentially be way older.
Okay.
What else is really interesting? This is all the information we get from NASA and like peer-reviewed scholarly research because they're moving slowly, as they always do. But there are a lot of amateur astronomers who are now studying this thing.
I'm in.
And there is...
I just put a theory out there a second ago. And if I was right, you have to send me money.
You have to pay me for it.
I cannot overstate
I
that.
cannot overstate it.
I do need that money. I'm paying for a comedy special. By the time this comes out, I'm filming it tonight. There's going to be 60,000 people there. And I'm going to have to pay because they're going to burn down Zany's Nashville.
Comedies. But
because this guy told them to.
I didn't tell him to. They did.
Because that guy told me to.
Guy told me to.
My dad.
John Cena told me to burn down Cena's Nashville.
John Cena told me to burn down Zany's Nashville.
He's retired. He needs a hobby.
My sleep paralysis demon is John Cena. That's
nightmare.
Pitbull.
No, that's how that starts.
Oh, you're right.
Anyways, so
your sleep paralysis demon is Pitbull, though. Pretty funny.
So
I'm gonna wake you from your dreams. I'm gonna wake you from your dreams. I like when I get a soft smile out of Alex. That's when I know I did something funny.
did I call you the other day when I messed with that kid and hold on. Hold on.
What?
I was at a Quick Trip in Liberty.
No, this is not getting better.
I was at a Quick Trip in Liberty.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy walked in who was dressed like the Hat Man. Like he had a full-length cloak. He had the Hat Man hat. And he walked in and like quickly walked to the restroom. And there was a kid, probably 15 or 16, saw him. And I saw the look on his face. He thought it too. He saw that and he's like, that's the Hat Man. And so I already paid. I was walking out, and the Hat Man walks past this kid, and this kid freezes, and he watches him walk past him. And then I walked past that kid, and I was like, "Did you see him too?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "The Hat Man. Did you see him too?" And he was like, "Get out of my head!" And then I just left.
And that kid was like, I don't talk to strange men in their 30s. That kid was like, that's my purse. And then he freaking kicked you in the shins.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
No, say it like you mean, that's my purse.
That's a great episode.
So we actually tracked where that Hat Man had come from. We can track his movements back. And we can even, the solar system he passed through, like that little bend. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the sound.
The math says you're 10 million years old.
Hey. Math says you're old.
Math says you're... Excuse me?
I said... The math says you're old. This equation.
I just ran the numbers.
I just ran the numbers in the parking lot, and you're old. That's what that kid said to you. I don't talk to old people. Did you see him? what? Here's how the interaction actually went. In your head, he was like, what? In reality, it was like, did you see him too? And he was like, what? And you're like, did you see him too? The Hat Man.
The Hat Man.
And he's like, yeah, dude. And then you left, and then he looked at the cashier and was like, you saw that guy, right?
And the cashier
was like,
no.
What? He's like, that 30-year-old guy. I think he was 30. There's no way.
He seemed
Look at
30.
him. He's not 15 anymore.
Do you have a
bags under his eyes.
Actually, do you have a calculator? Let's do the math.
I just ran the numbers.
No, so some amateur astronomers started tracking this thing, and they're using telescopes, they're using radio signals. Long story short, a bunch of them are reporting that they are getting radio signal back from 3i Atlas.
Back?
Yes. So similar to the WOW signal, they're getting radio signals that do not seem natural. In fact, the signals, when you do the same sort of equation that they're doing to put the numbers that we got for the WOW signal, are coming back prime numbers, sequential prime numbers.
Whoa.
Well, what's interesting is prime numbers don't, I should say, sequential prime numbers don't occur naturally in anything we're aware of. And so Carl Sagan, you know Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
Carl Sagan, he has
host of the Wheel of Fortune.
No, Carl Sagan.
Oh, no, that's
Carl
Pat
Sagan.
Sajak.
That's Pat Sajak. Carl Sagan was the president in, I don't know, he had Saganomics, right? Anyways, so...
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do the jokes.
You're supposed to engage with the riff. We riff it. You're supposed to engage with the riff.
Yeah.
You engage with the riff.
Yeah.
You just let me riff. And
Carl Sagan was a ghost hunter on that's Zach Baggins. No, that's the Hobbit guy.
Okay, so
Okay.
Carl Sagan has a very famous quote.
Yeah.
That he said, if extraterrestrial life were to try to communicate with us through radio signal,
It would be through prime
it would
numbers.
be through prime numbers.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's a real quote?
That's a real quote. That's a very famous quote because he's like it doesn't occur naturally.
But what's the likelihood that one of these amateur astronomers is shooting a signal of prime numbers at this thing,
and then it's
bouncing off?
back? I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's also
If
unverified.
that turns out to be true, you gotta pay me some money for figuring that out.
I don't even think it's...
I don't understand how astronomers make money.
Here's the thing.
I don't understand how this is profitable.
Do astronomers have a Patreon?
I look at rocks in space. All right, we're gonna pay you a salary.
Pay you for that. I'm gonna pay you for looking
I don't
at that.
understand.
You looked at that thing. I'm gonna pay you for the way you
look. Economics.
You looked at that thing really good.
How do
Here's
they
some money for
ad
it.
supported? How are you getting money? How are you getting money to get paid to look at space? Get a real job.
No, here's the thing. They're amateur astronomers, so they might not even be. They're like saying, "Look, here's the signal I got."
Okay,
but it's like we don't know that they got it from that. There's no peer review process.
Yeah, how that? What are they?
There's no way to verify.
Yeah,
but this is going around.
I just held my. What are those things called that has two little dials and you draw on it? What's that thing called?
And you draw on it?
Yeah, you know the
a Ouija board.
Yep. What's that called, Alex? The little thing where it's got the sand inside. You know what I'm talking about?
The Etch-a-Sketch?
Etch-a-Sketch. I held this up to the thing, and it came back prime number.
It's just a bunch of prime numbers. And it's actually a portrait of Jesus?
No, it was prime numbers, and then I flipped it upside down.
So, there's starting to be some really interesting things going on with 3i Atlas.
All this is in the span of 6 months, too. Amateur astronomers jumped on this, and they're figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is this is the picture I'm trying to paint here is this is a very weird object.
Yeah.
It breaks a lot of our models that we have for comets and
but this is also only the third one.
Well, yes, it's the third object we've seen. So it's the third time we have definitive proof of what these things look like.
Right.
But we do have theoretical understandings of it where we've said, okay, based on the way we understand everything else in the known universe, this is what we would expect these sorts of things to look like.
Okay.
So we don't, wow, this is only the third time we've seen this. We do still have a pretty decent understanding of what these things could potentially be like. And this doesn't fit into any of our understanding. It breaks a lot of the molds, which is strange. And it also breaks a lot of what we see inside our solar system, which is also strange. We've seen a lot of comets, we've seen a lot of asteroids, and this doesn't look like any of those. So
sure,
this is regardless of anything, this is a strange event.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like the show, you want to support us, we've got merchandise that you can get, and it's good stylish stuff that I made. I put a lot of work into this stuff, so it's great to find other TILLN fans in the wild and be like, wait a minute, I know that shirt. Yeah, we would love for you to do that. You can pop over to shop.tilln.com, or there's a QR code, or there's a link in the description. There's plenty of ways to find it. We promise we made it super easy. So thanks for supporting the show, and thanks for listening.
So, NASA tracked this thing throughout 2025. And in October, it made its closest approach to Mars. October 3rd, it passed by Mars. And when it passed by Mars, we said, hey, we've got a lot of cameras there. And we turned every camera we got
logged into my Ring doorbell app.
Ring's got an app.
Yeah, it sent a little notification.
There's a
weird
person
object outside.
Weird object at your front door. And I struggle.
So they turned all their cameras to it. Do we get a good picture of it?
They turned all their cameras to it. The only one that got a really good picture because of just the timing of when it passed by was the Mars rover, which is not designed to take photos of outer space.
Yeah.
It's designed to
Oh, they're hiding something.
it's designed to traverse Mars.
I see where the conspiracies come. Okay, let's see the picture.
So this is the photo that it got.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet that's the best image we have of it, huh? Oh yeah, I bet. Huh?
So what's interesting about this shot?
It looks like a Pong. It looks like the video game Pong.
Yeah. It looks, honestly, what we heard a lot come out from this is Tic Tac. Which you'll remember from the Nimitz encounter. That spacecraft looked like a Tic Tac.
The what encounter?
Remember the Nimitz encounter? We've talked about this.
Nimitz?
Yeah, the USS Nimitz, where they flew up, they chased that Tic Tac around. Have we never done an episode about the Nimitz encounter?
No.
The Nimitz encounter changed my life for a second.
Okay.
I'm surprised we've never talked about. Interesting. Maybe we should do an episode on it.
Sure.
Anyways, the Nimitz encounter was a UFO encounter. The UFO was in the shape of a Tic Tac. That's how they described it.
Got it.
And so this
is in the shape of a Tic Tac.
Yeah. And the Nimitz encounter, I mean...
So it passed Mars.
Yeah, it passed Mars.
Did it already leave our solar system?
Yeah, it's on its way out now.
So this has already happened. Like our chance is gone of getting more information.
Well, there are two more windows. March is the best window we're going to have. March is going to pass by Jupiter. And so when it passes by Jupiter, we've got another shot. Juno, the satellite around Jupiter, has got another shot to get a good image of it.
What's the best image we have from space?
Probably... I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a subjective question.
No, the clearest. Like, obviously, this is a bad image. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's the clearest photo we have from space?
I don't know. I'll just ask Google.
Google. Gemini.
What is the clearest image from space? I mean, the James Webb Space Telescope just recently, when they first commissioned it, got a really interesting shot of the known galaxy.
Okay.
But even that, I don't know, would say is like the clearest.
Let's see it.
Okay.
I'll be the judge of that. I'll tell you if this is a good photo or not.
And here's the thing with so this is a collection of the first images from the James Webb Space Telescope. This was from their first big release. And what is really interesting with this, actually, and this is not what this episode's about, so I'm foggy on these details. I remember looking into this when it came out. This picture on the bottom right.
That's right. These are real.
Yeah. Those are all galaxies. Those stars are all galaxies. And this image was so high res that, like, when you zoom in on those galaxies, like, you get images like the top left. And the top left is a comparison between James Webb Space Telescope and the Hubble. Or not Hubble. What was the one before that?
Really?
What was the?
So the James Webb was on the left.
Yeah.
And that's
Hubble is the telescope before.
And that's how clear of images we can get now.
Yeah, but we also need to recognize, and this is so you get the top right. This is like they call these like the what's the word that they use? It's like the birthplace of stars. There's a word that they use, and I can't remember
Nebula.
what they call them. Yes, but they call them like the birthplace of stars. But they take a bunch of different light spectrums for this.
Okay.
So this isn't just visible spectrum. So this is like radio wave. This is ultraviolet. Like it's other spectrums that we can't see that they've layered on top of each other to illustrate everything that's going on in space.
Oh,
but
got
if you
it.
saw these type of things in real life, you don't see that cloud because that's outside the visible spectrum.
Got
at least
it.
for us.
Yes.
But that stuff's still there.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And so anytime you see a picture from space, they're layering a bunch of light spectrums on top of each other,
Okay.
most of which we can't see physically as humans.
But the AIs can see it.
I mean, yeah.
The robots can see it.
Yeah, they can. But that bottom one is the best image we have of the known universe, and you can like zoom in. It's kind of.
I think that's what I was trying to say. I was like, how do we have this crisp of images from space, but we can't get a good picture of this thing?
Well, the James Webb Space Telescope is designed specifically to get images of deep space, and it's gigantic. Here, look, it's in space. So we launched it into space, and it's in orbit outside of Earth.
This guy.
But this is here. Let me show you. Yeah, this here is the James Webb Space Telescope. So it is a giant camera, and so like that, all that thing is the lens. Like that's what's capturing the light. Not even the lens, but like I don't know how cameras exactly work, but that thing inside the lens that captures the light.
Yeah.
That's all of that hexagon. And so it's a gigantic camera that's specifically designed to catch images from deep space. Where the Mars rover is a camera like we think of. Like it's a small camera that's just designed to navigate.
Sure.
It's not designed to capture deep images.
Okay. So
we got this.
Yeah.
And this here's where I begin to get a little bit foggy on how this storyline happened, because there's so much content out there about 3i Atlas now. Somehow that got interpreted into this. And I think that what happened here is somebody colorized this with multiple light bands.
Right.
So we're seeing ultraviolet on top of visible spectrum, on top of radio. And so you're seeing what this could potentially look like the same way we do with a lot of images from outer space.
Okay.
And I think armchair astronomers see this and they're like, well, it's got lights like a spaceship.
Right.
And this began to turn into this, which began to turn into this.
This is... Yeah.
And so now...
Because the internet's dumb. All right. For listeners, here's how it started. It's go back to the original. It looks like faint Christmas lights in the back. No. Sorry. The second one. This looks like faint Christmas lights in a galaxy of stars. And it's like, teal, red, and purple. Mm-hmm. Right. And then the second one, they then gave it a shape. They made it look like someone made this.
Yeah, more definitive.
And then this next shot is just someone made this image.
Someone put this in a nano banana.
And then put it on the internet and said, this is true.
Yeah.
So are there people who think this is what it actually looks like?
Yeah, there are people who think that this is a NASA photo.
Yeah.
Because...
And that, you just feel the energy drain from me as I realize how hard it is to live in a society where a lot of people are just... Oh my gosh, man.
So...
That stresses me out.
The storyline...
What stresses me out is somebody made it and just put it on the internet and they were like, yeah, this is funny.
Well, I don't know if that's what... We don't know what happened. I don't know where this originated from.
This is from NASA.
It could have been someone who thought it was funny.
NASA.
It could also have been someone who was like trying to illustrate it. Like be like, this is what it might look like. Like,
sure.
But they didn't intend for it to
But
get
then
taken.
other people take it and they go, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so the internet did what the internet did, and it turned into this whole storyline. And it's interesting just watching how mythology develops.
Yes.
Because as you watch the storyline, it is, could potentially be aliens, maybe. And then as we like develop it, there's kind of two storylines that diverge in a wood. And one of them is these are the aliens coming to make contact, and this is the mothership. Because there are strange things that are happening with it that are hard to explain. It's doing things that comets don't normally do. After it passed Mars, it started getting closer to the Earth, and it started to sublimate, which is when it in space, things don't turn into liquid; they go straight to gas. And so as it got closer to the sun, it started turning to gas, and that's where you get the tails on comets.
Yeah.
And so the gas started to appear. And what normally happens with that is the solar winds will carry that gas, and so you see it as like a tail because it's carrying that gas the logical direction the solar wind is moving. But for this object, what was very, very odd is it went the opposite direction. It went towards the sun, which we still don't fully understand why that happened. The leading theory is that because it was more carbon dioxide than H2O, it sublimated earlier. And so it started getting sucked by gravity instead of by the solar winds. The gravity was stronger than the solar winds were at that distance. We don't know that for sure. But there are so many things about this that break our mental model for things that we don't understand.
Sure.
And science, in so many situations, is saying, we don't know why that's happening because they don't know yet.
Right.
And so then armchair astronomers are like, I know why it's happening. It's aliens. And so...
Hey, guys, it's aliens. And if that turns out to be correct...
you gotta pay me.
You gotta pay me. You gotta pay me.
You gotta pay me.
I gotta figure out how to make money off this.
So this thing passes behind the sun.
And
then now it's on its trajectory out of the solar system. So we're on this back half of this trajectory where it's somewhere between Mars and Jupiter.
Okay.
And it's on its way out. So we're gonna get one more good shot in March to get good imagery of this. The thing that all the 3i Atlas truthers are saying is that this is going to turn into Earth. And this is their chance to make contact with us.
That now it's going to turn around?
Yeah, it's going to arc. It's arcing around the sun to come to Earth to make first contact with humans.
But it's not.
No, it's not going to do that.
How prevalent are 3i truthers? Are there a lot of these people?
It's to the point where researching for this topic, I've been seeing this since this came out on social. I was kind of surprised that you hadn't heard of it yet, because it's everywhere on my social feed.
Yeah.
But
my social feed is trains.
So I've seen a lot of it. But when I was watching this
and monster trucks,
when I was doing research for this, it was really interesting because there's a lot of solid information out there.
Okay.
But there is so much more pseudoscience.
Yeah, of course.
And what is really interesting, this is the first time I've seen this, but I would argue 9 out of 10 videos on social and on YouTube are Avi Loeb, but it's AI. And so it's him talking, but it's very clearly AI. And it's him on news video. It's him at news desks. It's him looking like he's being interviewed for a podcast. It's him in his office talking about it. But it's AI. And it's
I think we're
crazy.
I think that stuff gives me a panic and we can't spend too much time on that.
Yeah, we're cooked, chat.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen something like this at this scale where so much of the information out there is clearly AI, but it's AI masking as people with authority to spread information that's a lot of them was blatantly false, but a lot of it was they're not outright saying things. I watched one of those AI videos.
Right.
They weren't this Avi Loeb in this AI video never outright said this is aliens. He never said the word aliens. He never said extraterrestrials, but he heavily alluded.
Well, and this is the problem that science has too, is that science isn't going to definitively rule something out.
Yeah.
And so a truther... Well, and this is true in the vaccine stuff. This is true in, I guess this is kind of true in politics as well, is that we're trying to force people to take hard stances on something, but someone's going, yeah, but I can't definitively say that is true. I can't definitively rule that out.
Yeah.
That's definitely not aliens.
It's interesting.
And because it's left open, they go, oh, well, okay, we'll see, you're leaving it open, which means it is.
It's interesting you say that because I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this. And in his video, he brought up God of the Gaps. Have you heard of this philosophical concept?
Yes.
If you haven't, God of the Gaps is this thing where you can look back through history and there are gaps in our understanding of things. And throughout history, what humanity has done is when we don't understand how something works, we put God in that gap. And so there's a hurricane. We don't understand why the hurricane happened. And so God caused that hurricane.
Right. His wrath.
Yeah. There's an earthquake. God caused the earthquake. Or even just like we don't understand why trees grow. There's a God behind that that's making that tree grow. And even Sir Isaac Newton, he explained all this stuff about the galaxy and about physics and how these things worked. But there was some stuff that he couldn't understand. And he said, so God has to step in and take action on those and have effect on those things in those situations. And Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about how the important work of science is like to be comfortable with those situations where there are gaps in our understanding and to say, I don't know. And to not have to have an explanation. Because as humans, like our
human wiring creates explanation. It's the same reason that like, I understand why we're getting into a rant, like a tangent territory now, but I understand like when people are like, oh man, ghosts and all this stuff. Have you ever been in a room that's like one candle on the table? You ever been in a room?
Yeah, it's spooky.
There's so many shadows and all this stuff. And it's the same thing with like your child imagination when you're a kid sees stuff in your room that's not there, and your brain connects things and puts things together and says this is real and this is scary and these are things, right?
Well, he did the same. He made the same example because he said as our understanding grows,
right,
those gaps go away, and so we don't need God to explain hurricanes anymore because we know how hurricanes happen. We understand that. And so there's less and less gaps in the world, but there's still things we don't understand. And so people need to explain it. And then he pulled it and he said, a lot of what we see right now in the world of astrophysics is we see the alien of the gaps. There are gaps in our understanding.
That's what I'm saying.
We place aliens into it.
Yes.
Because we can't comprehend what that is.
Yeah.
So it must be aliens.
Right.
And he was like, and
that's what I'm saying is that the human desire for closure is greater. Like the anxiety against being unsure, or like I read a great book called The Truth About Us by Brent Hansen. And he cited so many different psychological studies that I really enjoyed that book. And he writes in a fun, palatable way. But there was a lot of studies about how your brain's inability to rest, like to be like, oh yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like your brain just can't do it.
It's hard. Yeah.
Like, and so your brain just connects and creates stories and goes, yeah, we do that. Because one of the applications that he was talking about is that people would rather follow a leader who is confident and sure, which is how you end up with authoritarians, which is how you end up with strongman leaders, than a person who's like, yeah, I'm not really sure. We're working together to figure this out.
Yep. And that's the exact point he was making, because he said scientists will always, they find things that they don't know, and they say, let's look for evidence to see if we can figure out what that is, what's going on.
Well, same thing. Like, they also change as the evidence. Like same thing, like beginning of COVID, where it's like, okay, we got to stay 6 feet apart. We got to do this. We got to wear masks. We were washing our groceries. Which now, looking back, we go, okay, that was a bit much. But at that time, with the information we had, which was very little,
those were the best conclusions.
We got to make decisions that are overly cautious.
And in a situation like that, we had to take action.
That's what I'm saying.
We didn't have enough information to make good conclusions. We had to take action. But in a situation like this, the scientists don't have to take any actions.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're
more
coming out
exploratory and like we can theorize.
Yeah, they're comfortable to say, here's what we know.
Here's what we don't know.
And we don't know a lot more. And so they will be very slow to make
figure out more with 4i.
Yeah, with 4i. And so they'll be very slow to make conclusions. And then in the connected world we have today, where it's more easy to publish information than it's ever been, everybody can come out and say, well, they don't know, but I do. And then they can be confident, like you said, and then everybody else will follow that person and be like, oh, this guy said it was aliens, so it's probably aliens, I think. It's right. I think because the other...
So tell your uncle, I said it's aliens.
Yeah.
Or that it was a fractured thing. Either way, tell your uncle to give me money. And then he can buy my prepper bucket.
My prepper bucket.
On our store.
Well, it's ironic you said that, because...
We should try to sell prepper buckets.
That'd be funny. I said a divergent of wood because there's a lot of people who think these are aliens. But the divergence is there's a lot of other people who think this is Jesus Christ returning to Earth. There's a large community who say, yeah, we're watching Jesus come back to Earth right now.
Huh?
That's because... And so that's an actual...
How do you get there?
What they're saying is you look at the Earth is falling apart. It's clearly the end times. And what are the odds that right in the middle of the end times, we see this object that defies all understanding that NASA can't explain? Another side bit.
So we really are doing alien gap and God gap at the same time.
We're doing them both. Another thing that's really interesting about there was a prime moment right in right October. It passes by Mars. We get that weird shot of Mars, and then it's like silence from NASA. You know what happened around then that was very significant, that caused a lot of silence from NASA?
The World Series.
The giant government shutdown that lasted a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone's like, yeah, NASA's not talking about it. NASA has nothing. NASA's like,
yeah,
well,
NASA found out it was God.
NASA's like, oh, it's actually Jesus.
Yeah, dude. God put NASA in their place. You know?
God wasn't joking. He wasn't putting on the Ritz. Our God
is an awesome God. Just in case anyone in this comment, you're typing this comment, these two buffoons don't know anything about Christianity. Oh, sister. Don't come at us.
But anyways, Google has this thing right now. If you Google 3i Atlas, there's like a little button that shows up. It's like a little comment button on the bottom. And it turns your Google search page into a little space. And then every once in a while, the comment flies by. And you can try to catch it. And if you catch it, it says, congratulations, you earned your salvation. Come to heaven, faithful one.
Shut up. Okay. Wow. It says, congratulations, fiddle off.
Hey,
hi. So this week's episode ended. It's over. It's sad. And you can go listen to Oumuamua, which is another episode we did.
It's another episode. It's not as sad. Yeah, no, if you want to see where Avi Loeb came from, he came from Oumuamua. He's not from this world, not of this world. He's got that sticker on his truck.
Hey, you know what? Hey, hold on. I got it. Hey, this week there's no outro. We're just going to have this AI version of Avi Loeb do the outro. And then we just cut to an AI of just him like, hey, listen to Oumuamua. We should not do that.
That's funny, actually.
Hey, if you like this episode, you probably didn't. But if you're here, Oumuamua, we talked about a lot. Just leave all this in. Who cares? People skip this part. Put the QR code for Patreon somewhere.
Yeah, watch Oumuamua.
I don't know.
Buy some merch or something.
None of this matters.
You got to pay him.
Oh, man. Sometimes I think about how old the Earth is. We're all just on a thin plane.
I did the math. You're really old.
Yeah, I did the math. You're super old.